If it's motivation you're lacking, Charles Marcus will get you moving. Charles is in the business of inspiring hairstylists. How? By sharing his own story. As a motivational speaker, Charles is passionate, engaging, and down to earth. Using stories from his own personal and professional experiences, Charles speaks at beauty industry events around the country and around the world, challenging stylists to work with confidence. Charles is also a best-selling author and columnist. His story of personal struggles and how he overcame them to reach success will inspire you, just like it's inspired me. We hope you enjoy the time he spent with us, sharing his amazing story. Charles, I am so thrilled to have you here. This is so cool. When you have an author and an industry motivator like you, somebody who has built a business in the industry, has joined the beauty industry, and now you're such a big motivational speaker and such a big author that you're actually speaking all over the world, literally, to all kinds of industry groups. That's a pretty amazing thing. So I'm really honored to have you here.
Thank you so much, and I'm really, really honored to be here, Frank, and thanks for the opportunity today.
Oh, this is cool. This is cool stuff. Well, we're going to talk about it because you entered this industry. You didn't start in this industry, did you? Did you really? I mean,
yes, I actually did start in this industry. I started in England way back when I was about 17 years of age, a long time ago.
Right. And
so the situation with me when I was in England, at school, I had a terrible speech impediment. I had a really bad stutter disability, and I was not really happy at school. And I guess in those days, used to call it, I was teased a lot. However, today it's really bullying.
Right, it is.
And a lot of things happened. And at the age of 17, I think I made a foolish decision. I decided I wanted to leave school. I should have stayed in school, however, I didn't. And I had a counsellor at my school in England, Sue McGregor, who really believed in me. And I always say we all need, Frank, somebody to believe in us, all of us. Right. And Sue believed in me. And although I wasn't a genius academically, I was very, very, very artistic. And they could see it at school, in painting, in art, in woodwork. My mother also strongly encouraged me to go into a profession in the arts and beauty, and my father, being very, very pragmatic, he wanted me to go in an industry maybe where my hands and fingers would do all the talking, and so that was where actually hairdressing started. My speech, and I talk about it, I was in the top 3% of stuttering severity out of 1.3 million stutterers in the UK.
Oh my God.
Yeah, most people, I think, speak on an average about 170 to 140 words a minute. And generally, on average, I spoke about 7 words a minute. And so if we would have been here today out with my speech, we would have been here for about a week.
That is absolutely amazing. But you overcame it. You found an unconventional therapist.
I had sought speech therapy out many times, and I failed. And the reason I failed, it was not through the speech therapist. The speech therapist for wonderful people, it was me, because when I left the confounds of the speech clinic, I didn't have the guts, and that's the word I use, to use the technique that I had to do. And that's painful, Frank, you know, but you've got to be honest. You've got to be honest. When I say, it was painful, I mean it was painful for me now to look in the mirror and to realize so many years, again, I lack the courage. However, that we say in life, it's better late than never, right?
But that is what you call overcoming your weakness and turning it to a strength. And I just love it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get hung up on that, but to me, it is inspirational and it inspires me. I hope it inspires other people as well.
I appreciate the
compliment. It's pretty cool. So tell us about, so you opened up salons in Toronto.
I stayed at Sassoon's for a few years in England, in Canada, and then I left. I worked for another very good company. And then I decided to return to England, and I opened the first of 4 hairdressing salons I had in England. Still stuttering, Frank.
That's amazing.
How the heck I did it,
How did
I don't
you do
know.
it? How did you do that?
I don't know how I did it, but I didn't have a life. And the situation is with stuttering is a lot of people who stutter, it's really very sad, and myself included, is we live in a fantasy world. It's like a facade, and sort of on the outside you're trying to be liked and loved and appreciated, and you know, and your viewers know, if you don't like and respect yourself first, you know, that low self-esteem. So what I did through speech of, I mean, life is hard enough, isn't it?
It really is.
And through all this in the day, trying to avoid speaking on the telephone, word avoidance. So when I got home at night into my apartment, I was like exhausted with headaches. But again, my own fault not to have the courage and take responsibility. So I decided to return to England. I opened up, you know, only small salons in the subdivisions in Manchester where I live, did fairly well, successful, still stuttered. And then I did the worst thing possible, Frank, is I got complacent. I thought I had made it.
You thought you arrived.
I was in my comfort zone, and you know that's the worst place to be. You know,
success is a journey, not a destination. You thought you got there, right?
And I tell you, I don't have to, you know, into huge details, but through making some pretty lousy choices, Frank, and we don't have to go there.
Okay, we won't.
No, I don't. And through making some lousy choices over a period of about 15 months, I lost everything.
Oh my God.
Fate is funny. I believe in fate. I believe in life. And I remember I think I still had my apartment, and I was in Manchester and in my little thing, and the TV was on, and it was raining outside, and feeling very sorry for myself. And in those days, there was only 4 stations in England on the television. I start to flick on the stations, and I flick on this program, was called in England at the time QED, and it was basically a science human, and just as I clicked it on, as fate would have it, of all the times, all the programs, as I switched it on, it was showing this gentleman, similar to the King's Speech as we had discussed, and he was taking a group of people who stutter through a week's seminar in Scotland. I mean, how can fate...
Have you arrive at that spot, at that moment?
That got my attention.
Tell me that wasn't God speaking to you. That had to be. It really was.
As stupid as I had been in my life, I'm not a complete idiot.
Yep, exactly.
And the bulb started to flash. This was before email, before computers. I'm dating myself here, but anyway, what the heck?
People are watching right now going, there was a time before all of this?
My children say, Dad, you know, really? Like,
man,
you have
you're
Facebook
like a
in the
dinosaur.
80s?
You're a dinosaur.
Or Twitter, you'd have Twitter in the 80s, Dad?
Right.
Anyway, and I was fascinated. And this actually showed people who was, you know, when I stuttered like, really. This was showing individuals, some of them had more severe stutters from me. 3 cameras, and they took this guy through a whole, they were showing segments out from when the people arrived, the video, they had full extra class, and although these people were speaking very, very slowly end of the course, they were speaking like this. They weren't stuttering. And I went up to Scotland on the course with Mr. Bow. His name's Andrew Bow.
Wow.
He told me afterwards, when I shook hands with him, out of all the people he's been on, he has never seen so much fear.
You know what though? But you're not alone. I mean, there's people out there that have had drug problems, alcohol problems, domestic abuse problems, all these kind of things. And it takes a lot of guts to see yourself. And you did. I mean, and obviously you had hesitation. Obviously you got scared. But eventually you realized you had to hit bottom. And you just said it. You had to hit the bottom. And then from there, everything's up. Isn't that the good news about that? Yeah. Everything is up from there.
When I went on that course, I was focused. No, for one of the first times in my life, there was no going back. And I believed this was my shot. It was my opportunity, and I grabbed it. The same as with, it's funny, with Sassoons, I grabbed it at 17. Right. 36, I grabbed it in Scotland, and I just gave it for that time, just, whatever he told me to do. He told me to go out to the back of the room and to read a book and to do affirmations. I did that.
So when you came to Toronto ultimately, you actually started a chain of salons there as well.
But when I came over to Canada, it was when I sort of had my speech together and I went into the education side of the beauty industry.
That's fantastic.
I did hairdressing for a little while in Canada, but I decided I had my speech and I wanted to go into the educating side of it.
It's because it's a gift now. It's something that's very special to you, and that's amazing. That's
never
an amazing
take
story.
It for granted. Every day, as I says to you, and the best thing I can say about my speech is that there's no cure, but I control my speech every day instead of my speech controlling me.
I love it. I absolutely love that, and that's what people who ultimately have to overcome alcoholism and drug abuse, they have to do exactly the same thing.
Firstly, I think you have to realize you have a problem. Secondly, you have to find the courage, take responsibility, and then the final thing is you have to find wonderful people who can help you.
Right. I've had people that have made the difference in my life, and I hope that everybody gets somebody like you have and I have, and I'm just blown away by it. You've written a book, okay, and I think tell us just can you give us a 1 minute
Absolutely.
Review of it?
So the book is Success is Not a Spectator Sport, How to Take Action and Achieve More. And the premise of the book is if you want to be successful in life, you have to be a player, you have to be a participant. Right. And if you want to be on the sidelines in life and waiting for something to happen, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to make it happen, you have to be active and you have to make the plays for success.
I love it, and we'll put the name on the screen here for people to be able to see the name of the book. You've been successful. You've had failures. You've had challenges. You've had success over those challenges. You've obviously moved your career to the point where you're an industry motivator. You're speaking, as I said, to one of the largest shows in the country. You do it all over the world. Can you give a quick outline of your thoughts or the most successful, the most important aspects for somebody who's in a school right now of what they can do to become successful? What can they do to make it?
Absolutely, and however you define success, but I would say at school, listen to your teachers. This is showtime. Don't mess around, don't waste it. Life is not about I deserve, life is about desire. Be a sponge. At Vidal Sassoons, we used to say, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
I love that one.
Focus on your day. This is serious business. You can't, hang out with your friends all the time. Your career has to be paramount. Seek opportunities and then grab those opportunities. Have wonderful finds. A super group of people. Build a dream team. I always say this. I know we hear this, but build a dream team. Sit down and have a vision of where you want to go. Set, goals. Have plans. And finally, I want to say is instead of focusing on a life of success, focusing on being significant, giving back to the community, helping people, being a good person, and doing it for all the right reasons. And if you have that attitude and philosophy, all the other stuff, the toys, the cars will follow. This, Frank, I have to tell you, this is the greatest industry in the world. I would be nothing out without this beauty industry, the hair industry, and all these students out there. Grab your opportunity. You can go as far as you want.
Wow, that is the best one minute commencement speech I've ever heard. Okay, that's absolutely amazing. Charles, you delight me, you amaze me, and you've inspired me. And I hope if you've done a tenth of that for the folks that are watching this, you've changed lives. And
Frank,
for that I appreciate it.
so much, my friend.
You're a good man.
Thank you.
You're a good
Thank
man.
you, Frank.
Good luck to you.